why is it in the mirror? Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with My Spiritual Friend. I realize why I hate this now. For some reason, the way it's filming is flipped to a different view, and I don't like it. It's driving me bananas. Okay, so it's Sunday. Hi, Ashley. It's Sunday, December 3rd. I hope everybody is well. I'm just going to set this up differently so it doesn't drive me so crazy, so then I can don't feel like I'm looking anywhere weird. And then I put the chat in front of my face and then, okay. What's going on? I've had some really cool readings this week. Hi, Brian. I got your payment. I got Ashley's payment. I got Mariana's payment. Rathka, I've got yours. Let's see. Let me go figure this out. Who's I've got, where you're at. I hope everybody's well. I had two readings this week where they were brand new. The people had never had readings before. Hi, Julia. So it was kind of fun. And one was like, sometimes I feel like when I do a reading, I'm like, and it just hits like, hi, Dune, where it's like, just everything is so, it was like, even it's like, so she's never had a reading. She wanted to connect with one person in particular. I connected with her energy first and everything was like so spot on. And then like, even down to some like weird physical issues. And then not that she's weird or had, but just like, it's not a standard whatever for me to feel it that way. And then I brought her dad through and he came through like so brilliantly. And this man, so she was like, oh, he's a police officer. I was like, he's not just a police officer. He's a detective. She was like, yes. And like, it's so funny to see how people's personalities are. And I would read if somebody has a detective relative and they want to come through, I would be happy to do that because they are so detail oriented. So it was so amazing. It was great. And then she had somebody else really quick at the end that she wanted to connect with. And I, didn't even get a name. She was like, oh, it's my so-and-so's spouse, blah, blah, blah. And that person, I got the information really quick too. So it was just a really great reading. And she walked away feeling, a sense of peace, which is really what reading should do for you, is give you a sense of peace and a sense of like, okay, like, even though I feel like the world is falling apart around me, I'm like, okay, I'm okay. Okay. So, let's see, I've got, okay. Let's see, Ashley, and then we'll do again today if y'all want to, at the end, ask questions like general type, what's going on in the universe type questions, spiritual questions. I'll put the PayPal link up in just 1 second. I'm just putting in the names who have paid really quick. And then I have to do some bookkeeping this week and figure out how much we have earned this year for donations. Or you all have helped raise, I guess. All right, that's what I have so far. Here's the PayPal link. Here, wait, y'all. This is one pair. There's another pair I like better than this pair, but I want the squint. I got me some reading glasses that are nice and they're not creaky. I know I'm not supposed to use my sweater, so any glasses aficionados out there, please do not cringe. It will be okay. Oh God, this is so good. When you can see. All right. Today's spell that way, right? Yes. Okay. Let me just make sure it links. Okay, that works. There you go. Oh, I didn't get, I wish I had anti-glare ones, but I don't. And I know they're kind of funny looking, but these are really big ones. I have other ones that are a little bit smaller and cuter. But you can't really, you just have to like hope for the best when you're ordering things online. They didn't like break the bank or anything. My do not like. I feel like this is set up weird. Okay. All right. Enough of my chatting, enough of my rambling. You've had enough. It's not that exciting anyway. All right. So let's see. Let's pin this one. This one I want to pin. No. Hang on. Where'd you go? There you go. Oh, that's annoying. Hold on. Stupid heart thing. Okay. I just need this to pop up a little higher. Okay. Okay. Are you Steph Graves? Are you same as Stephanie Fraser? Stephanie F? Hi, Makikin. Hi, Lexi. These are not my favorite. I like my blue ones better. Oh, well, we'll just deal with these. Okay. Okay, so I will check for payment. Last one, and then. All right, Dune, I got yours. So I'll add you on to the list. Okay, perfect. So when I let you know, like, so Ashley and Mariana and Brian, like, there's a couple of people ahead of you. They'll go first. I try to let the people that are in a different time zone go first, that are, that because it's later there, so that way they're not so sleepy. So one thing that we have been doing is the last couple of weeks is at the end when I'm done answering everybody's paid questions, if anybody wants to stay on and ask, that's really annoying, isn't it, with the light there? Okay, I'll just have to do it this way. And for what I'm reading, just look down. So for anybody who wants to stay on and ask general questions, like, what's going on in pop culture, or what's, state of affairs of, whatever, y'all can ask those questions, and that's free, because that's kind of for everybody, right? And so that's okay. I don't mind answering those. Plus, like, when other readers are like, oh, I tapped into this information, I don't tap in well to that kind of stuff. Unless I'm like reading to learn, like when I started reading about the Palestine stuff, and chances are they may come after people down the road. They supposedly, there's like a theory, who knows? Anyway, I got very clearly that we're on the wrong side of this, and that we're backing certain different things, blah, 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 such as life. Anyway, so I'll get stuff that way, but yeah. Okay. You know what it is? It bothers me because I'm like, I have this, like, so I probably need to get like professionally made reading glasses that then I can get the anti-glare on them. So, for doing stuff like this, so I can see. This is mirrored weird because, and I don't like it. I got to figure out how to fix that because it's driving me absolutely batshit crazy. So I just can't look at myself because it'll drive me crazy. Okay. So, why is it mirrored? This is so annoying. I'll have to figure out. So, like, it's showing me backwards. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. See? Okay. I put the ring light on the side. I could. Next time. I feel like I have pants on, but I was like, I have no pants on. I can't stand up. Yeah, I have pants on. I just don't feel like. In fact, I just took the tag out of them because it was driving me bad. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so let's go. Actually, if you want to ask, go ahead and ask. There you go. Tell me a story. Ask me a question. Oh, you put it on PayPal? Wait, okay. Yours are really long, so I might only get to read part of it. And I got 2 for you, Regine. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, I can't read all of it. I think just because of the way my app is, and otherwise I have to log in on here. And hang on. Can you just tell me what it is? I last asked you about my new job and if they were happy with me. You said they were in regards to me being there. It was, and then that's all I have. Or can you, even if you want to email it to me, I'll read it that way really quick. I know it's a pain, but I just feel like, and maybe from now on, if you want to write like a long thing, don't leave it on PayPal. Just email it to me, just because it is a pain to dig through it. For some reason, with my business account, when I have it set up that way, they don't make it as easy to do anything. They don't make it as easy to refund money. They don't make it as easy. Like on my personal account, I can just click through it and it's fine unless they updated something and I just didn't notice it. But I'm pretty sure when I sign in on my personal account on the app, it's not a big pain in the butt like that. I keep losing the little. There we go. Thank you. That would be awesome. Okay, so then while we're waiting for her to email, if either Rothka or Dune want to go, because I know you guys are both in another continent or on other continents. Yeah, Rothka. I said go ahead and go. Rothka or Dune. Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw it come up, but there's a delay. So. Okay, so Dune, when we move out of Sweden, I see 2 years. So, I mean, I saw 2. Could it be 2 months? Sure, but I'm leaning more towards 2 years. This is weird. Because I don't genuinely think of Sweden as being this way, but I feel like some kind of political unrest or something. Dune. I feel like you'll stay in a European country. I don't feel like you're going to be moving to the United States or anything. It's interesting because I'm getting either like further south, like France or Spain, not Italy. And it doesn't feel like the UK either. So then maybe that's what the political unrest is about. I don't know anything about any of the countries, honestly. I mean, the fact that I'm learning, I don't feel like Africa or the Middle East. I feel like there's going to be, listen, over the next few years, it's going to be a lot of shifting and changing just in general. So it feels like the easiest move will be to somewhere like Spain or France. I don't feel Africa or the Middle East. I love Spain personally. It's really like, other than like, I haven't gone to Canada. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Mexico and Spain. That's where I've been. And I absolutely fell in love with Spain. I was in high school. I stayed with a family for 3 weeks. We traveled a little bit and I fell in love with like just the culture. Like I love the school system and the way they, the way their day broke up. And I just love Spain. Well, come on now. You're asking for a full reading. um, it feels like remote work. So something with a computer and remote work. Um, Here's the thing. Most of the things that like I give anybody readings on, it's not really that profound. Like not to like belittle what I'm doing, but I'm just connecting with your energy and reading the course of the line that it goes through. And most people are like, "Oh, am I going to make this big, huge, massive change?" It's like, "No, probably not," because most of us as human nature that we aren't it's too hard to wrap our brains around it. It's not that there's very few people that are built like that, but like it took me a very long time to go, I'm not going to be doing nursing. I'm going to be doing this and to step into doing this with certainty and like not worrying about how other people perceive me, right? It's a lot for our brains to completely rewire. Um so I don't see it being so absolutely out of what you already know. Even I did a reading for a gentleman yesterday. And it's like, this is a guy who literally I see his hands in a whole bunch of different things. Like he's just got he's really going to be able to have, but it's still using like essentially the main skill and running a business and building a business that he already has. It's just in different specialties within running businesses, getting them built, getting them off the ground, and then calling in other specialists for the other, fine-tuned areas of those businesses. So it's like I just see something on a computer, but I see you working from home. I don't see you going into an office every day. Maybe occasionally they have like get together so people get to know each other and create a little bit more of a community within that work environment, but it doesn't feel very formal. Um, the problem with a lot of economies is when they have the high unemployment and debt, and we don't have high unemployment here, but most people don't like the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. The majority of Americans are working two jobs and barely making ends meet. And that is the fault of capitalism. That is the fault of greedy people who are like, it's like, yeah, I get when people are like, how can I make more? How can I make more? How can I make more? And it's like, we would all be better off if we made sure everybody was taken care of. The fact that, and I know boomer generation has screwed a lot of people after them, but they've also screwed themselves. There's a lot of elderly people who should be retired, who should not be working, are still working. They're still out there because crickety. They're still out there like killing themselves because it's just nuts. The United States economy is nuts. Um, and this isn't because I'm some major like it's like I just start reading a little bit here and there and I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense." I just look at it with a discerning eye. And it's like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense." Okay. Ravka Deary. I am okay with helping out countries that are less than. The Ukraine needed it. Like they were getting bombarded. They did not have a military. Like they deserve it's like I think it's okay for us to help other people around the world too. What I don't think is okay is for us to go and be um, financially helping countries that are practicing colonialism as we do and overtaking other countries that are weaker and smaller or that aren't even considered countries anymore, apartheid. Um uh yeah. You sent it by email. Okay, Ashley. And then Rothko, hang on really quick. Let me get your question. I'm personally really struggling with what's happening in Gaza. Okay. Wondering if there's any guidance on how to show up and what to do. I'm going to answer that in a second. Let me do Ashley's. And not, okay. I was also asked about my new job and if they were happy with me. You said they were in regards to me being there. It was right after I was off with concussion, and then I was off again after that with bronchitis. What I really meant in this question was that they're happy with my performance and will they keep me? I initially had a 3-month trial period, which has ended December 1st, but they have extended it another 3 months until February 28th. So this has me nervous and stressed out. Thank you very much. They are happy with you and with the performance that they have seen while you're there. However, they don't feel comfortable enough to fully extend a contract because they haven't really fully seen you show up, right? Because you haven't been able to be there, but they're understanding of it. So as a way to cover their own tail and cover you, they're just extending the trial period, which, they could have easily just said, you had 3 months, you really weren't here. We appreciate your work. We're going to find somebody else to fit with it. So that's what that means, is like, this is, they, and as in, I mean, look, I want you to go. When I say these things to all of you and I say them and I repeat them to certain people, it is not because I'm not caring or loving. But it's because it's a theme I see, right? Of self-concept, needing to work on self-concept. And I say it because I spent too many years exhausted myself, not having a great self-concept and not feeling good about myself and worrying so much about what other people think of me and if I'm accepted and loved and chosen. And so something to do with your brain when it gets into that worry state is, no, I'm accepted, I am loved, I am chosen. And when they talk about like manifesting a specific person, your specific person can be your job. Yes, it's only because you were out. They didn't feel like confident in the full time of you being there. It's like, well, she's good when she's here, but like, I want to make sure. So it's really a cover their butt kind of thing. And I mean, Ashley, you have been on here, and with every subject that you ask a question about and it doesn't work out perfectly the way you think that it's supposed to work out in that moment, you automatically worry and panic and go to the worst case scenario. I've been there, so I am not judging you on this, but I am telling you that sometimes we have to tell that little hamster in that wheel that's just spinning and spinning and spinning up there to like take a break and go drink some water and relax a little bit. Yes, they will keep you you are staying there. You are fine. I told you that before, but just because things don't always look like, so sometimes things look like they're not working out and they just do. By all intents and purposes, when I got told by that voice, go to nursing school and get your, at this school and get your degree, I should not have been accepted. There was already a wait list for nursing students there. So just because something looks like it's not possible doesn't mean it's not. And the only reason that you were not just signed on right away is because you missed a chunk of time. And it was probably like a good, quarter of the time that you were supposed to be there. So they just want to be, I understand. Okay. So when I understand, I understand. I was a travel nurse, and literally as a travel nurse, if you're sick from a day of work, you don't get paid and you owe them for housing. So you're out money if you're sick. So you really try really hard not to be sick or go to work with allergies. And I had a contract one time, and this was actually, I missed my grandmother's funeral because of this. I had a contract that was ending in 2 weeks, and I did not have another contract yet. And the hospital I was at hadn't signed me, and there was nothing opening up anywhere else. So it was like, I was about to be homeless in 2 weeks without an income. And I was like, okay, so I can't fork up the money for a hotel, a rental car, and an emergency plane ticket so that I can fly down there. And I could have asked a certain family member, or a couple family members, but it was sort of one of those things of like, my grandmother will understand. But like, so when I say to you, I get it because I want to stay here. And like, so it is that worrying thing. I didn't understand about that. Literally, our thoughts create our reality. Our belief systems, how what we not our positive and negative, but our beliefs about us showing up and being chosen. Right? You can make typos here. We don't care. So it's literally like when this is what the exercise you can do, because I see it working out and it's fine. But the exercise you can do to worry, like to calm down your little, our little panicky minds that look like little hamsters running around, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, is I'm okay. I am chosen. Of course, they're going to hire me. This is just part of like I have to be there for a certain period of time. It's fine. This is just par for the course. We're good. Not to worry. You automatically think people don't like you. So I would add into your affirmations, I am liked, I am loved, I am lovable, I love myself, I like myself, I am likable. Of course, people like me. Of course, people appreciate me. Like really work around that concept because it is a theme that comes up. And it isn't because I'm scolding you or trying to be condescending in any way. It is because I spent so much time struggling through that same state of mind. And I allowed so many behaviors from like wasted time of worrying. So behaviors of my own, and also accepted behaviors from others that I absolutely shouldn't have. Like even coworkers and bosses. Okay, so there will always be issues with a coworker. Why? Because that's just the way it is. I worked in as a travel nurse. I worked in, let's see, was it Seton, Maimonides, Montefiore, 4 different facilities, and for like a year or more at some of them. And there was always somebody. There was one facility where the only reason I was able to stay as long as I was is because I floated. I refused to work on any floor for any period of time because there's always something political. It does not matter what field you're in. There's always going to be that person. And some of that is trigger about learning how to just like not get triggered by it. So look at what's triggering you, like really sit down and evaluate it and figure out, why does this bother me so much when somebody reacts this way? What emotions do I feel? How do I feel? Do I feel belittled? Do I feel like my voice doesn't matter? Do I feel like my opinions don't matter? It's like, then you start to like go through them, and figure that out. And then you work on that little thought process in there in your brain and go, no, I am all of these things. Okay. So you can go 2 ways of that. So some people just aren't very nice. I had one coworker who talked crap about me to everybody, incoming new travel nurses, like to the point where I was really pregnant at the time too, where I was sitting there in the manager's office with the charge nurse, and I looked at her and I was like, if you really think I'm the problem, fire me. Get rid of me today and end my contract. That's how it works. I'm good with it. I don't want to be the problem here. I wasn't the problem. I didn't get fired. And in fact, when my contract ended and I left because I was like way at the end of my pregnancy, they called me back and said, do you want to work an extra 3 weeks? I wasn't the problem. You're not the problem. And you know what? People don't have to be nice to you. You can't make people do that. But you can own how you react to it. Are you internalizing it and making it your, oh my God, she's not nice. And so it's like, whatever. Just in your head, just be like, well, she's a bitch. I mean, not to be like reductive about it, but like some people are so miserable, they don't know how to be nice to other people. And sometimes you have to think that way and just be like, they suck. And I teach that to my 10-year-old right now. Well, I like when she'll tell me about certain things, I'm like, well, what did you learn? She goes, that some people are annoying. I'm like, yeah, some people are annoying. Say it internally. It's fine. That's the thing, is like we can have lots of internal conversation with ourselves about how much somebody sucks and then just move on with your day. It's like, well, no surprise there. No surprise to that behavior. Like, if you stop expecting them to be all of a sudden be these wonderful, incredibly nice buddy people, and we're just going to work as a team. If you just like expect them to show up the way they're showing up, you're not surprised about it anymore. And I know that we can manifest differently. You can manifest them to find a new job. I've talked to people on here before. You've probably witnessed it where they're like, oh, yeah, they did move out. I'm like, yeah. And you can get somebody new. But some of that then is like showing up. You have to do the internal work. And you know what? It's not fun doing internal work. It's not fun really looking at like, I mean, I sat and realized 2 days ago about a friendship that I had with a guy who I grew up with. And one of his friends treated me really awful. We were dating ish. And then like when like this other thing happened and he got dumped by the girl that like whatever. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, he acted like I was a horrible person for thinking that rather than going, oh, well, that's like kind of a normal response to how he treated you. And I was like, fuck, like I tolerate a lot of like not cool people for a long time. I mean, this same guy stopped talking to me because his girlfriend was worried about him. Like, I'm not even attracted to this guy. Like, it's like not even a thing at all. So, okay. So if she treated that teacher the same, they already know it's not you. So just go with the flow, go in, do your job. No, I had respiratory therapists. I worked in an event unit for a little bit in this one place, and the respiratory therapist, I was like asking because they were talking about, they were giving shift report, and I was listening to their shift report, and I asked a question about it. And this one therapist was like, this is an A and B conversation. You see right out. I was like, this is my patient. And I need to have all of the information of how to best take care for my patient. This is a team kind of thing. Like I had to say that to them, but all of these people who are nasty. One of the respiratory therapists from nights, when I came in one morning, she's like, how the hell do you do it? How do you come in every morning like brand new day? Nobody ever did anything. I'm like, because I'm not here for them. I'm here for my patients. You aren't there at that school for your coworkers. You are there to teach those students and to make them better people, period. End of story. You're there to advocate for them. That's it. Like, that's what your job's about. And if you can go in and think about that and be like, their shit's not about me. Their bad behavior's not about me. And I will tell you, at a point I was like, and I really trust that everybody gets what they deserve. Some of those people got fired. The respiratory therapist manager got demoted. Several of the managers in that facility who were awful to me because I advocated for my patients, because I spoke up for them, because I was like, this is kind of fucked up. What's going on? And they were horrible to me, got fired. And I found all of that about after my contract ended and I moved on to a different place. So stop worrying about it. You're going to get the job. So then don't worry about it. Sometimes there's just a bad apple. I mean, it's very rare that you walk into any facility and everybody gets along really well. And there's not just one person who's like a little too much. So I promise it's going to be okay. That is my feeling, is that it's all going to be okay. It's really not about not liking you. It's just about, they have to have a certain percentage of time to be able to evaluate you properly, and they don't feel like they got it, but they don't feel like you're a terrible person either. Because really, if they weren't happy with you, they'd be easy to write off and be like, phew, made it through those 3 months. See you later. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on after I feel like I just lectured the crap out of you. Sorry. It's like, I've said this before on here. I wish that you guys could see who you are from my perspective of like what your guides show me. Cause I hear things like, oh, my guides probably think I'm a mess. And I used to say that too. It's like, no, it's like, it's literally so not even that way. Like it's not even capable, but they're just like, you're just humaning. You're just humaning. And there's always an easier way, but you have to do it that way for whatever reason. Okay. Rothka, I'm personally really struggling with what's happening in Gaza. You know, you didn't have to pay for this question because this could have been in at the end of the one. Um, okay. So some of this is like a crappy response, but it's not because it's like it doesn't matter. It's because in order for healing to occur, enough like so when someone finally gets really, really sick and goes to the doctor and like, I have these symptoms, they can no longer be ignored. And the lab values like start showing that like, oh, stuff is off in your body, or you go get a colonoscopy and you have polyps, or you have a little like your body has been off for a really long time before it actually like the rest of the body goes, whoa, and the brain goes, whoa, right? It has to be off for like a while. It's pretty rare that it's like just terrible and from 0 to 60 and that's it. So it's the same way with world problems, right? It has to be really bad in order for everybody to go, what the fuck? So what's happening in Gaza is unfortunately the catalyst to massive overhauls, especially in our country. Because it's causing people to pay attention to propaganda, to pay attention to what's really going on, to pay attention to laws we have where you're not allowed to boycott Israel. Businesses aren't allowed to boycott Israel in, I don't know, like 30 states. Like, that's kind of weird. It's causing people to learn things like how much of our taxes, billions of dollars, go to Israel, where they have free college, where they have health insurance and subsidized living costs because of our tax dollars. And yet we have to take away social programs. Like, it's causing people to start really looking at stuff instead of just walking around like zombies. It's also like when people are worried about like World War III and things like that, I don't see it happening because the social unrest that is being caused is enough to actually sort of make some of the other Arab countries and go, oh, we don't need to do anything because their own people are going to like start causing changes. I am not saying that other countries are perfect. I am not saying that Hamas is perfect or anything like that, or good. Or supporting what they do. I'm saying that people are starting to look. There are children in jail for years for throwing rocks, which is asinine. They have a dual, so I know that it's really awful, but it's going to cause a lot of change in the long run. It is horrific what's happening there. It is unthinkable that anybody doesn't see that there are still people that are so pro Netanyahu, because I don't even want to say this is like, or so brainwashed themselves, because it's mind-boggling to me. I have someone who I thought of as a dear friend who is completely Zionist, and it is mind-boggling to me that she is so brainwashed. You're welcome, Ashley. So you're saying the gas offshore Gaza worth 500 billion? When I first heard that, I was like, maybe, but I don't think that's it, because 500 billion is not that much. I mean, it's a lot, but compared to like what we give in taxes to them every year, that's a drop in the hat. That's not where the money is. They're trying to create another like another Suez Canal, but on the northern end, that they control that can be twice as wide so more ships can come through. And then they're making trillions upon trillions of dollars. That's where their money's at. That's why they want control of that land. It's not just the gas. Gas is like a cherry on top. Nothing is ever about. So when it first kind of came up, my question to the universe was to find the answer was, what's so valuable in the land? Because I'm sorry, I feel like the excuse of like, we need a land for our Jewish people is not really like, I do believe some people believe that, but that's not the goal of somebody like Netanyahu. He's a monster. On a personal level, I mean, the things that you can do to help are just continue to share information, continue to hold space for them, energetically holding space, energetically sending healing, energetically visualizing. Even if you can't see a better outcome, see somebody announcing it. See somebody announcing, that there's peace for the Palestinian people. See somebody announcing Netanyahu being arrested. But it's like, if that's the way you visualize to manifest a better way, make donations where you can, when you can. Listen, he was supposed to be arrested anyway. And it already came out that, which we said that we knew that that Israel knew about the attacks, the potential for the attacks long before. And it came out in mainstream media that they had known for a year. So visualize mainstream media really pushing it. Visualize our own congressional leaders and Senate leaders really pushing for an end to this. Because if you can see that, that's where the change happens, right? And don't, it's easy to worry and think we got to go to World War III in order. No, you don't. No, you don't. It sucks to be. It's awful. I was actually worried because at a point I was like, this is a lot. Like, I'm getting a little overwhelmed because it's so much on my FYP. And then I got worried because I was like, I didn't see anything for days. I'm like, oh, who's trying to weed out? So then I found this comedian who's fantastic. Support Palestinians, right? Support their businesses here. Support the families here, because those are the people who have families in Palestine. That's what I say, because they're going to get hit. There's this great Palestinian comedian I found, and I was like just going through because he just had all these hilarious jokes. I'll have to send it to you. I'll have to find him and send it to you. But I was like, then it finally started, because I was liking a lot of his jokes. Then it started finally popping up in my FYP again, but it just kind of disappeared and dwindled off. And I don't want to not know what's going on over there. I want to know, I want to be able to support people. And there's also, unfortunately, not a lot, other than protesting and calling your congresspeople and your senators, and not letting it go. I'm like, don't buy Starbucks. Just it's exhausting, but it's not anymore. It's not anywhere close to the exhaustion that they feel. And not only that, but not buying any of when people are like, oh, don't go to the store and buy Starbucks. It's like, no, don't buy their products that are for your Keurig and things like that. There's lots of other better coffee brands out there, and you can buy the reusable little metal things to drop in, and they're better for the environment. And there's lots of small business roasters out there that you should find and support, local small roasters that you can find. Because it's always better to support local than all the big stuff if you can. One thing I follow on TikTok was saying like, Jeff Bezos apparently was like one of the biggest people pushing to not have TikTok. Why? Because they have TikTok Shop now, and he knew that was coming. And they stand to make a lot of money doing that, right? And changing the way that Amazon gets their business and things like that. And not only that, they also support smaller businesses, because you can click on whoever is selling, or you can click on, like, if you look up Knife Set, and he's like, this guy clicked on Knife Set. It was like all these different smaller companies popped up that weren't big purveyors like Amazon, whereas Amazon pushes all of their own products, and TikTok is like, it's just the videos that come up that get watched. So, okay, let's go. Let me go back to my list, because I don't know what the timing is here. So I've got everybody, and then Regine, I need to add your name to the list. So Mariana, I'm going to find your question about your daughter. Okay. Maya and her mental health, she's been very negative recently about everything, including wanting to switch programs or even drop out of college. Okay, so what do you want to know? Like, what do you want to know about what's going on with her? So some of it is just stress and overwhelm. Not really knowing that she wants to do what she's chosen for the rest of her life. Like, she's sort of at that awareness moment where it's like, oh, like, I'm going to be done soon, and then I'm supposed to be a grown up and know exactly what I want to do. It's a combination of meds and hormones. This is a rhetorical, you don't have to answer this, but like, something to think of is if she's on a birth control pill, that might be causing some of the imbalance. But I also feel like it's just that awareness of like where she's at in her space and time, and like, I'm going to go out and be a full-grown grown-up, and I don't know that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so, yeah. So if she's like, so for instance, if she's somebody who's estrogen dominant, she might be a little bit more, somebody who has PCOS tends to be estrogen dominant. If she is a little bit more, like this, up and down. One thing that might help her is, I always say this to everybody because it really does help, it really does make a difference for everybody, is eating for insulin resistance. It's amazing how much your body, and including in a physical activity for 30 minutes a day. And it does not have to be strenuous. It's just go for a walk. But it is amazing how much of a difference that makes in your brain chemistry, like how you feel mentally. But my sense is that what's really going on is like, yes, there is that, but it doesn't negate that. It's just this sense of overwhelm of like having to make the decision and be, like, oh, I don't know that this is what I want. So maybe instead of like, it's like, yeah, stay in it and stay with it, but also encourage her to take a couple other classes in other areas that, or do some kind of extra outside of, like, that's not maybe a formal class, but to see if that's what she wants, see if, like, kind of explore another area. Because really it's insanity to me to think that we're like, oh yeah, at 20, you're supposed to know what you want to do for the next 70 years of your life. That should be it. You should be decided. You're fucking it up if you don't know, if you're questioning it. Like, that's insane that we do that. She's going to stay. She'll finish her program, but I honestly don't know that I think she'll probably end up continue education in something different. So even if she starts working what she's picked, she may go back to school for like my therapist was like, oh, I was an attorney. And now she went and she's back to school and got her master's in social work. I have a friend who's actually doing that too. Loose friendship, but like we know each other through our daughters. But she's an attorney and she's going back to school to get her master's in social work or PhD. I don't know. She won't lose her credits. But really, really the focus needs to be on like supporting the overwhelm. And so asking open-ended questions without judgment of like, okay, so like, or just even say, are you feeling overwhelmed? Like, what overwhelms you the most? Like, it's and trying not to let her think that you would be disappointed. Because I want to say in the long run, let's really look at it. Like, I know that it's a lot of money, but in the long run, 20 years down the road, if she's completely miserable, will you care if she lost credits? Or if she chose something completely different and she's completely happy, will you really care that she lost those college credits? Probably not. I don't use my degree. I used it for 10 years, but even some of the credits I paid for at school, I don't use management information systems. I learned a little bit about Excel. Don't remember it. I certainly don't use my technical writing class that I took or accounting. I mean, it was like basic accounting or econ. Like, I have an accountant. I pay for that. Like, my point being is like, I don't ever sit and go, as the person who wasted those credits, I wish I wouldn't have taken that. I wish I would have, because I needed whatever that learning experience was, going through those classes, going through that experience of changing and then coming back. Like, I needed all of those to help me out down the way anyway. So I would encourage her, since she's unsure about it, encourage her to take some classes in things that are of her interest that might help her make a decision of what she wants to do. Or encourage her to like seek out mentors in other areas that either have master classes or have some sort of info dump thing, or see if she can audit classes within the university. If she can go to some of those professors and say like, hey, I'm considering changing. I'm not really sure. Could I audit in a class just to kind of get an idea about what this is about, to see if it's anything that I'm interested in? Take advantage of as many sources as she can to figure out what it is she wants to do, rather than feel like, oh, I have to stick with this just so I stick because I need to get my BA. Perfect. And hairdressers can make a decent living. Maybe she can find somebody that she can shadow for a day or two, and see what that's like, or different ones, somebody that owns a salon, somebody that does, just like bridal and, I don't know, event type things. If she can find and shadow just to see like what they do, and then she can see if that's what she wants, but she's going to be okay. I just think I really do genuinely think like there's a little bit of a hormonal fluctuation that's going on. And then also just the like that awareness. I had no idea how many how many different jobs that are out there. I mean, I know that sounds dumb, but like within medicine that I could have done besides nursing, um, that might have been a better fit. Just didn't even know they were options is my point. So it's like, and I also wished I would have like I was so like that I need to get out. I need to work. I have to do this. Like I have to be a, like grown up and responsible. And like I put so much pressure on myself and I had such this idea where it's like now that I look back, I'm like, that was the time to go and fuck around and like just figure out what I really wanted to do. And before I really couldn't, because you can't really, I'm trying to build a business and I have little kids that like depend on me. So I can't just focus on me and a business the whole time. So, like, give her room to do that. Like, let her know she has room to do that. I don't think that she'll just, be like, "Mom will pay for everything" with wild abandon, you know? Okay, Brian, what's your question? Just a general. Okay. So I heard I'm here. And I said, well, what does he need to know? And he said, I'm here and he needs to know that he's not alone. So I don't know that if you've been feeling extremely lonely lately or just very vulnerable. Um, but it's just a feeling if you're going to be getting through this, it's going to be okay. Um, so what I'm seeing is like a glass coffee table. And I don't know that you actually have a glass one, but I see a glass table with a book on it. And there's like there's something wedged out of the book. So I don't know if he wants you to like, if you're able to see what this is in the book, or if like it's hidden and you're supposed to open the book, but it's a hardback book. And it's a little bit thicker, but it feels like needing to pay attention to that. Um, did you just get a really cold feeling? Because I just got really cold in here. Um, your partner passed, right? I want to make sure because it feels like that feeling of, um, like he touches your hand. Yeah, it's so because I felt him putting his hand on my hand. Mhm. So he's talking about Christmas cards and it's like those being really hard. So I don't know if it's like that you're not sending out a Christmas card is making it really hard or that seeing all these Christmas cards is making it hard. Because it feels like this Christmas is very hard for you. Um, I think this is the first Christmas alone, and so the firsts are hard, but the seconds are harder. So the first year's hard, the second year's a little harder. Um, he wants to make sure that you're not isolating yourself. Ow, 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 ow. Do you have a problem with your right foot? Ooh, like plantar fasciitis or something on the instep of your right foot? Ooh, I just got the yixiest pain right in the arch of my right foot. So it's the first Christmas, and I just feel like I'm gonna fall. Yeah, I'm very isolated. Yes, right. Okay, your whole right leg. Okay, I think it originates in your right foot. And he wants you to make sure that you're reaching out to his sister because he really doesn't want you to be alone. He's like, this is just silly. He's like, she wants you to be around. She wants you to just be a part of everything. So it's silly for you to be alone. And he said, and don't feel like you're being a burden. You're absolutely not a burden. Do you drink coquitas? Oh, your neighbors give you a coquito. Okay. So I'm taking that as a validation. I heard coquita and I'm like, huh? Okay. um, so one, I just like after that, but the validation I feel like is like, then you need to be reaching out to his sister, even though she's not talking. It feels like needing to reach out to her. But second, um, connecting with your neighbors more. So there are going to be periods. That's kind of what grief is, right? That we do feel a little bit in a fog and in a funk. But it is our responsibility at a point. Like, it doesn't mean we're ignoring that we're going through that, but it's like, this sucks. And I'm going to do what I can for myself to push myself through this and to like know that like I have to keep going. So connecting with other people, and he wouldn't want you to be alone. You don't deserve to be alone. I don't know why I keep seeing like, it's like I'm either seeing a reindeer, but it's like one made out of like sticks and twigs because I'm seeing like the antlers out of wood, or it's like, then I'm also seeing like a snowman. So I don't know if there's a snowman. Like, I don't know exactly what this is. Maybe it's one of his photographs, or maybe but it's like he's referring to it. So I don't really understand it because it's becoming kind of like an amalgamation of things. So make sure you have some coquitos with them then. Just spend time with them. Um, as much as you think, oh, people will get sick of me, they won't. Especially if you return the favor and bring them some booze too. Or cookies. It doesn't have to be a lot to decorate. Just do little things. Just put a stocking out, do something. Do the things that brought you joy when he was around, because it's like you, when somebody passes, they don't want our lives to stop. They don't want us to just give up and grieve. Like, that breaks them to see that. play board games with them, create some new memories and some new traditions so that way it doesn't feel so lost. Like, is he showing me playing board games? It's going to be okay. It's just hard. And then also just, have some compassion for yourself. Like, it is just hard. It does just suck. We a lot of us run from having to deal with grief and overwhelm because it sucks to feel it. But on the flip side of that, when you allow yourself to feel it, you can move through it in a healthy way. And allowing doesn't mean just wallowing every day and never showering, right? And it also doesn't mean never having joy and feeling guilty for laughing or smiling because, they're not there. Maybe I shouldn't. Let me just make sure on PayPal. Oh, it gets so dark here by 4:30. I don't know why I went to that. Okay. You're welcome, Brian. Stay with us. We'll do some other questions if you want. If you just need to go, we understand too. Okay, Stephanie, are you still here? And Regine, if you guys want to start typing your questions. Sorry. Your questions regarding a wallet? Can you just ask it? I didn't see any question above. Okay, I'll let you ask that, and then I'll do Regine's really quick. My awesome nephew is so negative about himself. His name is Dayton. He is 8. Okay. I'm gonna just get what I give you really quick is where that comes from is his father. I feel like his father is incredibly critical and really, really hard on him. His mom's a little hard on him too, to be honest with you. Like there's lots of rules and lots of following. Like he's not really allowed to make too many mistakes without feeling like garbage about himself. So it's not like they sit around and go like, "You're a piece of shit," but it's like he feels like he can never do anything right. For his wallet, I actually feel like he misplaced it. I don't feel like it's. I feel like it's within the house because I'm seeing it around, like in a jumble of mess. So is your son a tad on the messy side? For Stephanie, I'm gonna come back to you, Regine. For Stephanie, is your son like? Because I'm seeing it like, um, wait, it's your son's AID. What is that? I I don't know what that. I think it's a typo, so I don't know what AI. Yes, he is. So it's like to me, it feels like like it's. I feel like it's in a bedroom, honestly, because I'm seeing it around a bed, and like there's just a whole bunch of stuff. It's like if he would clean up, he would find it. Nobody took it. It's like maybe I like got undressed and I threw it on the bed and then it kind of fell and it's like kind of tucked within but it's there. I don't think the friend took it. Um, his friend is not the most responsible, but he wouldn't steal from him. Not that. He's more likely to mooch than steal. Aiden is your son. Oh, okay. Okay. Right. So, but I just feel like it's lost amongst his stuff. So maybe just like, hey, because I feel like if you said clean up your crap and you'd find it, he'd be like, ah. But if you just be like, hey, maybe, I've done this a lot where I used to put stuff away for safekeeping, like safekeeping from me too. I actually have a couple things right now that I put away for safekeeping and I have no idea where they are. So it's like, I finally learned at 44 and a half, 45 years old that I really benefit from clear organization bins. Like, who would have thought something so simple would decrease the amount of frustration I have in life? So yeah, so his friend is more likely to mooch off of him or guilt him into something than to just outright steal from him. So, well, we all know people like that. And then that's about us setting boundaries. Okay, Regine, for your nephew. So that's where his negativity comes from. So some of that is then like really his parents have to look at him and be like, okay, is what they're expecting of him reasonable for an 8-year-old? Are they forgetting that he's an 8-year-old and that maybe like, and also then the idea that like, not every 8-year-old's the same. Like I look at some kids compared to mine, I'm like, they're so independent and my kids are not. And it's not because I don't encourage them to be, it's just, they're just not as independent and they need independence within feeling safe and confined. Like it's just their personalities. And, I know like with my oldest daughter, it was really hard on her. I didn't know she was autistic. It was really hard on her. And, I created her own trauma. Like I did that. So, oh, you do that all the time. You lost Christmas presents when I was a kid for like 6 years. Yes. I can't tell you how many things I bought for presents. I'm like, I'm just going to tuck it away. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Yeah. I need like a secret hideout that's like always the secret hideout, but then everybody would know it was the secret hideout. Uh, yay. So, Regine, I just feel like it really will take like one thing that you can do as auntie who's outside of it is just reinforcing like, mistakes happen. It's okay. We're all like, that's all normal. Or like, oh, you know how I feel when I get angry? I can feel it. Like, and like talk about how you feel when it's like how it feels in your body or how you treat yourself. Because the more he starts to realize like this is normal or other people have this too, the less hard he is on himself. We go up so fast and my sister thinks her kids are the same way and they're not. No, I mean, exactly. Like I say to my kids, I'm like, and then they always, because I always say like, well, we're not comparing ourselves to other families because everybody's different. But, and then they throw that back on your face. Oh, but I'll say, like I started doing my laundry at 6, 7 years old. My parents were divorced when I was 6. I started doing my laundry very early. I made sure like, I mean, when I moved to, I don't remember much of 2nd grade. I really don't remember 3rd grade. There's just a big chunks of my life I don't remember because trauma. but at like in 4th grade, we had moved because my mom when our house was repossessed, but we moved and, I lived a block away from school or like block and a half away from school. And so I walked to school then, but I had to get myself up in the morning. I had to put myself to bed at night. I had to make sure all of my meals were prepared for, and that I had to take, like I was a little grown up at a little age. And I had to make sure my laundry was done and I was showered and I was bathed and my homework was done and my food was, it's like, I could never expect my kids to do that. If I wanted a treat, I rode my back to the store and I bought like the stuff to make it, to cook and use the stove. Like it's unfair of me to expect that. And I didn't ever want my kids to have to feel they had to be little adults. Right. So, but part of it is like, I think biggest struggle I had growing up then and like just moving through the world was like not realizing what normal was and what not normal was. Like how you're like even how to like process my own emotions and deal with those and set boundaries and all that stuff in a really healthy way. The gift of having worked on myself and like going through that is like it feels like I get to like kind of teach my kids like, oh, these are normal feelings. Like this is, I unfortunately didn't do a lot of the work until after my kids were just, my oldest was a little bit older, and really started looking at it. And I feel like, she definitely got like some unfair stuff hoisted on her. And I'm doing my best to make amends for all of that and connect with her in a different way. But it's not easy. And so that's what your sister and brother-in-law are, have done. And so from the outside perspective, what can you do? And it's brilliant from the outside perspective, by the way, because at about 12 years of age, like it's a normal thing for us to kick in and sort of like move away from our parents and our core family unit. And because like they're dumb and who believes them for anything, and move away from them and start like seeking wisdom and knowledge outside. And so if he's got this really great base in Auntie Regine, then how beautiful is that? So it is sort of looking like sometimes when someone's having a hard time and they're just like really, really wound up, especially kids, all they want to hear is like acknowledgement, witness what they're feeling, acknowledge it. Like, yeah, that sucks. It sucks. That's a crappy thing that happened. It sucks to feel that way, doesn't it? Just to acknowledge it. And it almost like just completely brings it down. And sometimes I do have to say to my kids still, like, I know that you're feeling this way, but we really got to get somewhere. So it's like time. We just got to like push through it today. Like, that's okay too. So he'll be okay. What's your other question? I should say this. He'll be okay as long as he's got an environment around him that will learn to be supportive of him and learn to help him like kind of process how he's feeling, because right now he's feeling all of these really big emotions and he's having to stuff him. Also, 9 has always been a tough age. I feel like there's I don't know if it's a regression, but it's like this like you thought the tantrums were over and like they kind of come back a little bit around that age. And then it's learning to process their emotions and stuff. I mean, I joke with my kids too. I'm like, I'm having a grown up tantrum right now. Like when I'm frustrated with stuff and I'm like, fuck, it's all like, it's messy in here. Can you just pick up after yourself? Like throw your garbage away. General. Okay. So, I'm like, I'm having a grown up tantrum right now. Okay. So the first thing they said was you have a heart of gold, and then they said the world is your oyster. You really just have to decide to actually take advantage of it. Um, it feels like think bigger, dream bigger, because it does feel like everything that you're doing, you kind of like put these little gates around it. Like it has to happen this way, it has to work this way, it has to happen X, Y, and Z. And like like if you're manifesting, it's like, oh, I have this vision of where I want it to be, and then it has to be 85 different steps of the way I say they have to be in order to get there. And they're sort of like dream bigger and like let that down, let the magic happen. I don't know that this is about your nephew, but I keep hearing he's happy. And I don't feel like that's about your nephew. Also my jaw feels super tight. I don't know if you've been grinding at night. Um, but you might benefit from a mouth guard or bite guard, whatever you call it. I also feel like, you know what? It's okay for you to have a good cry. Why are you calling me? Sorry, it's my friend who knows I did this right now. It feels like it would just be really, really beneficial to you to, crap, where was I? Dang it, Corey. Well, something's beneficial. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at my brain, not you. Oh, I heard Let It Go. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So I heard Let It Go, the song Let It Go, but it feels like allowing yourself to cry, to like just have that ugly cry and release that energy. Cause I feel like you literally hold all of those emotions back and don't allow yourself to just release. It's sort of like this judgment. If I cry, then I'm weak. If I cry, then I'm not, I'm a mess or I'm not holding it together. And it's like, oh, why should I cry about my sister's going through this? It's like, it's okay to cry for other people. It's okay to like cry that somebody else's life is not working out the way that they hoped, especially when it's somebody that you love. So it feels like just like allow yourself to do that. Give yourself space to do that. You haven't cried in years? What? Listen, I cried the other day. I was like crying about Pakistan. I was crying about like, like just like tears. I was like, that's such a shitty, like, ugh. Oh, I know what was the other thing I was crying about? I was like, "Why am I crying about this?" It was something I was like, "Oh, this must be hormonal," but, like yeah. Oh, it was a Keith Lee video. I was just so excited that he was like, he changes lives. And I was like, he's about to change somebody's life. That is like that is like fabulous. So they're sort of saying, they're not sort of, they are saying, let it go. Like learn to cry a little bit, like learn to allow yourself space to do that because it's actually really good for you. Also, this isn't them, this is me, but I thought of it. So it could be them. It's somatic psoas release. Look it up on YouTube. Do that. That's your fight, or it's going to help you release your psoas, which is your fight or flight muscle, which carries all of your stress, all of your fear, all of that, like everything that you, it's a good release. I try not to watch them, but it's like, but also I am watching the Palestinian stuff because you know what? I think it's too easy to turn a blind eye. And I think the more that we the more we see and the more we understand, like, these are real people. They are not what they have been described as animals. You know, these are real people with real families, with real, like, insane. I mean, if someone came into your home and was like, I'm allowed to live here, get out, like insanity. So I think it's okay to, I mean, I get like wanting to watch our mindset, but also when you become aware of things, it's like we have built that as a collective. We have allowed the continuance of that as a collective. Like as a collective energy, we have created all of that. Although I was reading, I finally picked up a book and it's just a dumb little romance thing. Because I was like, maybe I need to read. I haven't really read just for fun in a while. Like most of my reading's not, it's not like I don't read for fun, but my like interest is all very like self-help, looking at neuroscience, looking at that kind of stuff, basis in health and things like that. And so like I haven't read just like garbage books for a long time. And after doing like all of this mindset work and like really looking at belief systems and patriarchy and misogyny and like really embracing feminism, I'm like, this is garbage. Like, oh, Blech. And it is women that write them, and it's like, ugh. Anyway, okay. Regine, I think that you're it. So if anybody wants to ask any general questions, if anybody's still here, I don't know. I haven't looked at any numbers. You can ask. I'll sit for a few more minutes, and we can do questions, just generally speaking, kind of questions. Mm-hmm. Devery, look at you pop in there like a little sneaker. Hi, how are you? Okay. When will these states get a handle on those store robberies? What do you mean specifically? Yes, come back next week. Oh, the flash nonsense deal. Well, it's not the stores. So there's like two ways of looking at this. Like it's because it's like they're like, it's not the stores. The stores aren't going to get a handle on it. It's a bigger picture of why is this happening, and it's happening because capitalism is failing. So there was this back in George W. Bush time where they rolled back regulations for lots of things. So what's happened is that, like, again, it's profit over people, and it's been that way for a long time. And I mean, corporations are making so much money, and they're like, oh, we just can't afford to pay people. People would not be stealing like that on those levels if we had a system where people could live on an income and not resell stuff that's not theirs. So that's sort of happening for that reason, as people are becoming completely disillusioned and feeling hopeless. 2 new Supreme Court justices in Congress, Supreme Court justices. I see one leaving within a year. And the second one may even be shortly thereafter. It just feels like a fiasco. But I also see even by 2030, the attempts to actually expand the court. There's going to be some changes coming up, but it's like still a little wonky for a little bit. And there's I know that the astrology backs all of this up, that I found like after I started feeling all this, but it's still a little wonky for a bit. It's not. I joked on Astro Lori's page. I joked around about, just becoming an adrenaline junkie because like you just have to ride with it. George Santos is going to be releasing some information on different people, by the way. Different political figures. More is going to be between this year, like between 2024 and 2025. there's going to be some shifts for sure. But it's really both sides. Like when it comes to corruption and stuff, it's both sides. Insider trading and things like that, it's both sides. And it's not to be like, oh, everybody does it, but it's like that kind of stuff is both sides. And some of the stuff that's happening is both sides. It is not just I tend to vote Democrat because I believe in social programs. I believe in helping people. I don't, the people who are receiving help from the government, they need it. They aren't being lazy. Medicine is going to be taking a change over the next 10 to 15 years. By 2030, I see some big changes. I see some big changes in the way they practice for mental health, where mental health professionals are going to be closely working with registered dietitians, looking at how deficiencies really affect our brain. Oh, UK's future? Hang on. Where are you, Lexi? Okay, I was just wondering about what will happen in the future with the UK in general, by the way. I don't see King Charles being around a very long time. And I don't know if that's an abdication for health reasons or if he passes. I also don't see the monarchy like, it feels more of a tourist attraction, but I feel like it's taking a smaller and smaller step back. So in many ways, the UK is ahead of the United States in the sense that like you have universal type healthcare, right? You have a one payer system. Everybody has healthcare over there. But in other ways, you're kind of just the same as us, right? Like the whole colonialism and like, there is a lot of unrest. So it's like, I feel like more changes for the better come around 2032, like 2030 and 2032. Because again, like there are many ways that you're not as archaic as us. Like, women's healthcare seems to be important. There's going to be a change in the way, I don't know what this means because I don't understand how it works with the. You have a prime minister, is that it? Either in the way that they serve or like a better checks and balances system with them. And it feels like they have less influence on the people within the political system, meaning they can't strong arm people into doing what they want. I don't know if anything that makes sense, but that's what I see. Who's Jonathan Majors? I just want to look him up because I don't. will he be cleared of any wrongdoing? I just saw it as an assault trial. I hear mistrial at first, so I don't know exactly if it's that, and then it's retried. I think that's how it works. So here's the thing. Just because somebody is not found guilty, not guilty, it means that they couldn't have been found guilty without an ounce of doubt. And so if one person has any kind of doubt, it doesn't have to be complete doubt, then he gets off. So it feels like I don't get off from all of it. I get off from some of it. And also I'm still guilty. I still did it, but it's innocent on a technicality. So I don't know anything more about it. Yeah, he's going to be charged with it. No, they won't be sentenced. Not yet. I think closer to 2030, they're going to be 2030, 2040. They're going to be really held more accountable. But not yet. I don't think this is the last pope. From school shootings to fights happening in schools, do you see schooling eventually going full on remote? No, not at all. Again, it's further down the road because it requires a lot of these Gen Z kids who've grown up. I think Columbine happened in when I was in, I don't remember if it was 96 or 98. I think I was in college. So Gen Z are the first kids that are really grown up without knowing any different. I mean, it's horrifying that my kids have to do lockdown drills. What the fuck? And they don't know any different. I'm we did tornado drills. 98, 99. So I was in college already. And so it's going to be a little bit before we have the generations, basically before the boomers aren't voting anymore. And there's still people from the silent generation that are alive. Before those people are kind of there's enough younger generation voting to actually make a difference in the lobbying and the gun laws. That's where that changes, but it's not going to go full remote. Because the fact of the matter is what they saw from, or what they're seeing a lot of the disruption right now that's happening, especially I know last year, I think it's better this year, but there's still kids that are in the principal's office every day. And some of this stuff that's going on with kids is really they've had trauma. It's traumatic to have your life up. People just changed in an instant. Well, tomorrow we're not going into school. Everything's locked up. And now you're going to be doing everything from home. There's no preparation. There's no warning. There's nothing. It's just your life is turned upside down like that. That is a traumatic experience. And while the adults, though some of us haven't, learn to cope a little bit better. And it may seem like that some of the stuff that we're seeing is because of that. Some of the stuff we're seeing is because people refuse to make laws, lobbying guns, sensible gun laws. So no, it's not ever going to go full remote, because it's not. Children especially need to be around their peers to develop normal, emotionally speaking. So it's not even about parents not parenting their kids, right? Kids really do get a lot of development and through relationships, through developing with their peers, learning about boundaries and about controlling impulsive behavior through little things and through little connections at school. So like one of the things my daughter was having issues with last year, she's got 2 siblings. So we talk, and I do talk to them about like impulse control and like keeping your hands to yourself and all that. But that doesn't happen everywhere for whatever reason. It doesn't mean their parents aren't parenting. But they just get it through interaction with peers, right? And she was having the kids like constantly touching herself. She's like, I don't want them touching on my stuff. Like, it's just, that's her space. And they were behaving more like, second graders than fourth graders. They lost 2 years of their life and 2 years of their development and growth. The reason why you want to send your kids to preschool and those things is not because like they need to learn academics, because they need to learn social interaction with people, peers their age. And they don't get that at home. I mean, there's a lot of adults who aren't great at social interaction with their own peers. So, I don't see another stimulus package, no. They're trying to stimulate their own fat pockets. The corporations. Will they start paying their taxes they deserve to pay? So here's the thing about that. Like, they're paying what they're required to pay. It's because there's so many loopholes and because there were so many deregulatory things put into place, right? The other insane thing is like, we clearly pay a ton in taxes. That could help us on a social level. But like, when the Pentagon loses $3 trillion and we're sending billions and billions to other countries, practically like companies, like we already are, we could have a better system than we have. So like, to me, the question really should be, when will the laws start going into place to favor the people rather than the corporations? No to Florida, not for a while. Yes to Georgia sooner than that. But hang on. There are going to be some changes in the way lobbying is allowed. To where politicians won't be allowed to receive funding the same way they're allowed to receive funding. And there will be changes in taxation. But it's not as simple as like, they should pay more taxes. It's also going to happen in like, our medical system is going to change. Things will change. It's just going to take time. And sometimes when this stuff comes out of my brain, I'm like, I feel like I'm making this up just for hope, but I'm not. I don't know any other way to say it. So it's just because it sounds so like, it just seems so hopeless if you look at the world around us. I mean, it really does. I know on that end that the good's coming and that things are going to get better, but if you just take it at face value, it seems really hopeless. Ron DeSantis get a taste of his own medicine. It's not about getting a taste of his own medicine, but he's like, he's kind of like Diddy. He's just digging his own grave. You know what I mean? Like, Diddy's not going to come back from all of this stuff. So does he get it in the way that we think he deserves? Probably not. But it's like a demise, a downfall for him. It's coming. It's like slowly but surely. He won't run to the Middle East, and he won't get away from his charges. Uh, I don't know. It's just really depressing sometimes when I look at the world and I'm like, it's exhausting. It's also really exhausting when I read comments and threads when it's like there's so much misogyny and like just like ugh. Yes, Julia, I do see that. And a lot of that is because of social media. So it's not even necessarily about pushing people to be more accountable. It's about getting laws to change and then also voting people in that actually do what they say they're going to do. So there will be eventually laws in place where, at least in the United States, it might be a little bit different in other places, like exactly how it works out. But it's like in the United States, for sure, laws put in place where, you know, insider trading can't happen like it does with Wild Abandon now. When George Santos says as he's getting off is like, oh, this is actually really easy to do to take advantage of all of this stuff and all of this money and like the campaign donations. And lots of people do it. Like he kind of he's going to be spilling some tea. I do feel like there's going to be a shift towards not having the big campaign donations and corporate lobbying and all of that. But it's just time. I mean, it's still time. So um I don't know if it's from Kelsey or not. I don't know that I see her being a mom, to be honest with you. It's not that she can't, and I think she would be a good mom, but I also feel like um I don't know that I see it. Um it's funny, like I'm really on the fence of like I think energetically they work well together, but I don't know that they'll be together. I don't even know that like so I could see her being a mom and having a surrogate. And not because I think, oh, she's too vain. I just think I don't know why. Um but also like I'm not 100% like, oh, she's gonna have a baby. Like it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but it's just also not in the like she'll be pregnant in 2 years. Da, da, da. Like I don't see that either. Yeah, but I don't think Will Smith is as involved in it as he was in the first one. Um, it feels like a smaller role for him or something, like where it focuses a little bit more on different aspects of it. Excuse my yawn. They do have the right person in custody. I actually wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a second person involved. Um, they'll stay together only because they figured out how to live apart. And financially, I mean, listen, they have stupid amounts of kind of money. Like they are stupid rich. Like they are rich like beyond what we can imagine. It's really more about untangling all of their businesses and things like that because it's like um, that it's like easier to stay together, but for all intents and purposes, they are not married, like other than a piece of paper and all of their business dealings together. Because it makes her feel young because she sort of looks at it like, look at all these men my age do it all the time. Why the fuck can't I? Like that's kind of her behavior. And she's not like when you're like, why is Cher dating a 20-year-old? She's like, she's having fun. Like, that's it. It's fun for her. There's not like a major like she's not looking at for like someone to take care of her. She's like, I can take care of myself. I'm just having fun. But again, it's also like men my age do this all the time. So why not? Okay, hang on. Let me just see what time it is. Okay, just a couple more minutes of questions. No, for Britney Spears. I don't think she'll ever find true love. And it's not like so she has a lot of work. First of all, she's like in this stage of like think about like emotionally at like the age of a 20-year-old because her whole life has been so controlled and so tightly like managed. So she's like letting loose and having fun. Yes, she wants to be loved. There's all kinds of abandonment issues and all of that. But like she really has to work on her self-concept and reprogramming these neural pathways like as the like I am lovable, I am worthy, I am because just because somebody's super famous and like very professionally successful does not mean they always have the right mindset to love themselves. In fact, a lot of people who are driven to succeed like that are driven hoping that it brings in that feeling of being accepted and enough instead of like really digging in and doing that mindset work. Hi, Angelia. Instead of doing that mindset work. So for her, she really needs to sit and do that. And unfortunately, I think she feels so taken advantage of by so many people. She's just like living life by the seat of her pants right now and sort of enjoying some of it, you know? I think she'll get there. I just don't know that I don't know that she'll ever really allow anybody in once she does that healing. And it sounds really bad, but I think she's going to find joy being alone and just, you know, having fun. No, he's always going to be the person he is. Do I see a general peaceful Christmas with no terror attacks in our capital cities? No. I feel some skirmishes, but nothing that's it's not that it's not newsworthy, it's just not massive tragedy. Three more minutes. Because then I'll have been on for like 2 hours. So. Any last questions? And Jilly, this portion we're just doing like where people ask kind of general, nothing big is good yet, right? So we're just asking general questions, kind of what's going on in pop culture or politically speaking, or if you wanted to ask any spiritual energetic questions. Flying cars ever? I heard eventually, but it feels like so far down. I mean, think about how awful we are at just driving on the roadways where we have lines that designate where we're supposed to be. Like, so many people have such a hard time driving. So, like, have I spoken to any celebrities? What do you mean? Like, I will never ever tell anybody who my clients are. So, dead celebrities? Yeah, I've had people come through, but here's the thing, like, I will never read on those. So even if I get information, so like when Heath Ledger died, literally the day he died, I was like, oh, and like got a whole bunch of information. I will never, the Jetsons was such a lie. I will never share that stuff because I think that it's not really helpful to anybody because anybody who like, and it becomes actually harmful and detrimental to the family members if they happen to have it come across their information. Like, would you want me reading on you, like reading your family member without your permission and just randomly spewing stuff about their death and their life and how they lived and like, and also like, how does it help you as a sitter? If you're like, if I'm just like sharing, this is like, it's sort of like, it's like, because you can't validate any of it. So there's no, like, no matter how evidential I get, if you can't validate it, it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel great. It's probably shouldn't even be doing the pop star ones when I talk about that stuff because it's like there's so many people who sorry spit all over stuff who are like I just the amount of people who are like trying to read into everything about Taylor Swift and it's like or the times I see where it's like oh they're gay or they're not gay like whether it's Taylor Swift I've seen it listed about a whole bunch of other people they're living in the closet or this or that's a beard relationship. It's like we're perpetuating a system where people feel like they can't be safe to be themselves. So I don't know if she'll have a baby or not. I'm sure she would love to have one. She would be a fabulous mother. I don't feel like it's a yes or no. I just feel like if she does, it feels like for some reason it ends up being a I want people to have all their dreams come true. And if that's her dream, I want her to have it. When will people move to Mars? Never. That's way out of our lifetime. That's way out of our lifetime. Because the way that they have to move through to do that, we have half the technology on it, but it also requires us to, I mean, look at half the people can't even interact with somebody who has a little bit more melanin than themselves here. And then we're like, no, go interact with other, like, it's just. So I don't mind asking them, like, where they're going with their career but some of it, like when they're asked about that's like, I don't know. Like I get some of it, but then there's part of me that just feels bad because I feel like they didn't give me permission to step into their energy that way. And I think Britney Spears is like incredibly misunderstood. And I think people sit back with a lot of judgment and they're like, oh, that's so crazy that she does that. But like she did not grow up with it like a childhood like the rest of us. So like she's a bit eccentric, but that was like her norm to dance around like that since she was a little girl. Like not wearing a whole lot of clothes. So that's like when people are like, oh my God, what's she wearing? It's like that's like normal to her. That'd be like telling a swimmer who was a competitive Olympic swimmer to be like feel uncomfortable in their bathing suit. They're like, why? I wear this all the time. Like, that's weird. It's like I won't predict. I listen to some people like, oh, there's gonna be a celebrity death. Well, no shit. People die, you know? I don't think predicting deaths or people's downfalls or demise is really helpful. Except for unless they're really bad people, like Pete. Did he? Did he? He did. Oh, when will we go back to wanting relationships and not just being single? It'll be better in 3 years. Dating will be better soon than that, but it's gonna start getting gradually better. And there's some people that are just like not ever going to want to because being in a relationship is very traumatic for some people because of who they were in relationships with. But 3 years, it just feels like, dating kind of sucks right now. Somebody's cooking something good in my house. It's not my kids. Anyway. All right. I'm going to say goodnight. It's 6:15. I have children to get ready for school tomorrow and eat dinner and all that stuff. I wish you well for the week. I will see you next Sunday. Be good to yourselves. Be kind to others if they deserve it. Kidding. Have a good one. Get some sleep, all of you sleepyheads across the across the pond.